Hello everyone, and welcome to week 4 on the course schedule here for the assignments in English 1510. So far, it looks like I have in my online, at least all the async online, I have well into the 90% of students in the courses engaged, participating, completing work, following along, and seem to be getting the concepts fairly well on these. So it's good to see that vast majority of you got your initial course things all worked out, and readings are going well and those kinds of things. We'll make one comment on some of a few of the sort of missing things, and then submissions themselves. One, I do have a couple of students in each section that are simply not completing or submitting work. Just note, there's not anything that I can do there. I must simply enter in the zeros in those categories. Remember that late work is not allowed for these courses without something listed that can be registered for documentation, some extenuating circumstances, a doctor's note, or something from the employer along those lines. And even with those, remember that's taken into consideration. It's not a guarantee. So this week, note that this is still just be a placeholder. This is week 3. I'm going to put this week 4 here as soon as these are finished. So students, if you're missing things, you need to get on the ball and get things in. This is a late start class, which sometimes with students they forget they registered for something. But remember, that's all on the student. That must be accounted for. Now this week, having said that about those things, the only thing that I saw with submissions on work so far that was across the board an issue in memoirs, a little bit of confusion for some students about whether or not, if one was length, some of you are going way longer than you need to with these things, and the reason that I note that of significance is that you're going on longer and longer and still not getting the point of the assignment. So, if you're overdoing these things and you don't have a clear complication at the end of body 1, we're already off. Some of you are writing about topics that are far too broad for this assignment project. These are supposed to be single individual instances. Remember to read through the examples and do not skip that student sample paper that I put in there in the Dropbox for that. That is a perfect example of a certain scenario. That's a one-time scenario in the moment. Everything plays out there. The fallout is more than just that one moment, but everything leading up to and of consequence for that complication all happens within the same few minutes of the other events. So this broadening doesn't mean it has to be exactly that, but some of you are trying to tell more of life stories as opposed to some single instance that had a problem you had to get out of. Remember, if there's not a clear complication, there's not a lead-in thesis at the end of the intro. Remember, these intros should be fairly short, giving a general statement of what this topic is, right? A general introductory, and then a specific example of whatever the type of problem is that you're about to be faced with, and then a lead-in thesis that suggests the complication but doesn't give it away, right? So if your complication is you getting into some problematic situation because you ignored parental instruction when you were younger in some scenario, right? Not sneaking out or not going to parties on school nights, but you snuck out on a Wednesday and you get there and the complication is that you're going to be in some trouble. You're about to get busted for this. If that's the case, then that intro should be focused on kids disregarding parental instruction, and then the lead-in thesis might be something suggesting that you had a scenario where you found out just how important it is to follow parental instruction, something along those lines. Having said that, the majority of them are looking good. You are following the format things. I'm posting grades still for the summary outline. Some of you on your diagnostics, I know that there were files that didn't publish the grade on those. Between now and Wednesday, the rest of those should be up, and I will be working to make sure that everybody has some variation of feedback on the summary outline or the rough draft or both before you're finalizing this draft. Just remember that the final draft of these I will go through and mark sentence level things and content and everything else and give you a feedback file on those. This week, do not forget to participate in the discussion board and have the submission for this weekend for the final submission, right? So on week 3, everyone needed to complete these readings, and then in the writing portion you submitted your rough drafts, and now we're working on discussion board. Several of you have already put your discussion board, your copy of your draft into the discussion board. I thank you for those. I believe I have everyone's introductory discussion board postings graded and recorded in there for you. Thank you very much for those. Vast majority of, I think 22 out of 25 students participated in full in the introductory one, and we're getting close to that already with the memoir submission, so I'm hoping the discussion board is that effective too in terms of turnout. Now remember that with this portion, you were to post into the discussion board and then also review a classmate's. Posting to the discussion board at the same time as the draft by this Sunday that just passed. Now this week, make sure that you review and read and review one of your classmates no later than Thursday of this week. So we're looking at today as the 17th of the week. Of the month, excuse me. So that means that everyone make sure that you have reviewed read a classmate's memoir, read their memoir and reviewed through those questions that are included in the discussion board there by the 20th. That is to make sure that you and your classmates are providing each other responses and feedback as to whether or not that memoir works to the capacity of the assignment, to meeting those goals on that rubric piece. So in keeping in mind with that discussion board forum, remember that you have the discussion board forum, and I will switch this to exactly yours so we are looking at the same exact posting on there. Remember that the discussion board form on here for memoirs, you're going by this criteria right here. You have these 6 things that you're being asked. After you've posted yours, read through your classmate's memoir and ask yourself, does the intro follow the general to specific? That would mean a general statement, giving an example for context, and then at least giving some lead into the story itself, a lead-in thesis. Then 2, does the thesis statement work as an adequate lead-in? Does it present some indication of what the complication at the end of body 1 will be? And remember, at the end of those body 1s, that's one or two statements at the end that presents a problem you cannot get out of now. So it has to be resolved. Body 2 is the advancement. Body 3 is the resolution, right? The third one on here, is there a complication, a problem to be solved at the end of body 1? That is the main thrust of this story. So we need to make sure that those are very clear and adequately devised at the end of those first body paragraphs. Remember, body 1 tells the story and gives the complication. The rest of that body formatting is about resolution. You're giving an advancement into clear resolution and complication. Body 3, does body 2 offer reflection and advancement? This is where the person would indicate their internal dialogue, struggle, distressing over the problem itself, and what the thought process is before a complication in body 3 that has a resolution, right? Is it resolved clearly in body 3? So this complication that's here for body 1 at the end is advanced in body 2, and then it is resolved in body 3. The body paragraphs are where we're focused on that problem specifically. The conclusion, remember, tells the moral of the story. That can be something of a parable, a saying that is going to be something that's sort of memorable but simple for your reader, right? So make sure that those things are completed by Thursday so that your classmate is looking at feedback that they have from there. And then this weekend, you're simply completing the final draft. So follow through on these directions. It's just the basic overview here. Once you're done with that memoir summary outline and you've completed going through the peer edit forum, and then you have your draft revised, if anyone was recommended for tutoring, now is the time to start going through ASC tutoring. Remember that every single one of the sessions, including the one required for the semester, all of them get extra credit. Just make sure that the ASC forwards the confirmation to me. The student services lists the academic support center right here, and obviously you just contact them through that, and you can let them know that you have a draft you'd like to have reviewed for English, that through one of their English tutors, and they give you some feedback on sentence level things and content and that kind of approach approach to edit and revision. And then after everyone has completed these and submitted by this weekend, you obviously will be starting on next week's work into week 5, where we'll start getting into rhetorical analysis. And once those are submitted for the memoir summary and memoir final drafts, I will begin reviewing those for sentence level and content issues and post feedback files. Once that's submitted, guys, it usually takes me a week or 2 to get those final drafts done. The components that are posted up already for the summary and outline and draft, I should have the rest of those posted up sometime in the next, hopefully looking for Tuesday evening, but if not, then by Wednesday evening. That's my next full grading day, is on Wednesday with those pieces. So far, guys, I don't have a bunch of criticism in those areas. For this 4th week on the things, it's fairly straightforward. Continue with the readings depending on what edition you have for the textbook. Complete that final draft. Make sure that you're participating in the peer edit forum, and they're posted so that your classmate gets feedback. They don't have to be too extensive. They just need to make sure that you are addressing those primary questions that were in that discussion forum. Okay? I look forward to seeing the rest of this work. So far, I'd say a little over 70% of the memoirs, they're right on mark. They're fun, interesting stories. I like that some of you are trying to, express yourselves and have a little bit of creativity in your stories there. If these are all true stories, it's even funnier for some of you. Very amusing. But overall, I'm liking what I'm seeing. There are things to work out, certainly in terms of the content a little bit and your structuring, and there are things to work out at the sentence level. Some of you do truly have some issues with run-ons and comma splices and wording and some grammar mechanics, things that, again, remember, are not necessarily focal points in 1510 and 1520, but that is what the ASC tutoring can help a great deal with. Okay? I look forward to seeing those guys. Have a great week, and once these are posted up, as I said, I will start doing full feedback files on the final ones and then posting up a grade and a report for you to review on those summaries. Okay? Have a great week, everyone, and I look forward to seeing those final drafts.